For African, we don't go to the hospital. We don't take medicine. Like, we just have our home remedies. So, even people that care about you and love you will leave you at some point in life. Like, people just look at me like, oh, like, you poor girl. Like, you just lost your mom. Like, how's life? Like, oh my God. Even till today, I think when I see some of my friends' parents, they look at me like that girl, that little girl that just lost her mom.
That's so crazy to say because I have some people I went to school with and I never forget that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
I have people.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Can I Grow with Liv and Ro. Liv, get us started, girl.
Ro.
Oh, God.
I was like, is that a trick question?
Ro, get us started, girl.
Let's start off with our question of the day. How did you grow this week?
How did I grow this week? There was a time where someone crossed me over on the highway. Normal me would have said some unholy things, but I didn't do it. I smiled and kept driving, girl. That's growth.
Oh, I guess that's growth. I would say I grew this week. How did I grow this week? I think that I grew this week at work.
How, girl? How'd you grow?
I worked this week. I worked hard.
Oh, you actually did work? I
always do work.
by actually doing what I was hired to do.
But I went above and beyond this week when I didn't have to. I wasn't asked to, but I still did it. That's
you go, girl. You go. Take initiative.
I took initiative.
You did.
Ooh.
And before we introduce our guests, because this segment
today we're continuing our real people, real stories, and we have a special guest today. Liv, would you like to do the honors of introducing our special guest?
It is such an honor to have Emanuela Ella here with us today. Ella is a published model. You've probably seen her on billboards in New York City, real live. She's modeled for many brands, hair brands, cosmetic brands.
She's a beauty influencer.
A beauty influencer. She lived in New York and LA and worked with a couple of agencies there also. Mm-hmm. She's, like we just said, she's a beauty influencer on Instagram and social media. We just found out she's an author. She just wrote a children's workbook on improving self-confidence. And she's an all-around wonderful person. Did I miss anything on your resume?
My personal pose expert.
Yes, she's a pose. Yes. If you don't know how to pose, she'll teach you how to pose. But in addition to all of her accomplishments, Ella is just a naturally good person. One of the kindest people I know. You're going to get one compliment a year, girl.
So, with further ado,
Ella. Oh, thank you guys. That was so sweet.
Thank you for coming to Can I Grow. We're happy to have you here. But first, we got to ask you something. Yes. How did you grow this week?
How did I grow this week? I took accountability in a situation that I normally wouldn't.
That's hard for us women. We lack it sometimes. But yeah, I love that.
I do. Good job, girl. High five.
Don't forget to tell us how you grew this week. You just might get something special from us, so let us know.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. So we're going to get right into it. Today we are talking about something that might be a little sensitive for some people. We're talking about grief.
Grief.
Ella lost her mother at a pretty young age. How old were you, Ella?
I was 18.
She was 18. She lost her mother at the age of 18. So this episode is really out there to help people who are in the process of grieving and show you that you have hope at the end of the tunnel through Ella's story.
Yeah, you're not alone.
And you're not alone.
Yeah.
I think that's a great one. So to get started, I think we want to start. I want to start with the backstory behind what led to the passing of your mother's story.
I will first. Can I?
Go.
Yeah, I was gonna say. First, I would like to know a little bit about you. Like, how do you have any siblings? Just your dynamic, your home dynamic. What was it like? Just a little backstory.
Okay, so a little backstory. I actually have 2 siblings. I have an older sister, and I recently found out I have a little brother.
Wow. We're going to get into that later, but good to know.
Yeah, on my dad's side. And so that was about in 8th grade. We all lived together with my dad, my mom, and my sister. And I would say it was pretty interesting. I feel like we went through different like dynamics living together, and my parents ended up separating when I was in 8th grade, and then we moved, and then probably a year after that we found out my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And that was like crazy because like my mom never gets sick, and like she's so strong, so like she's always like, oh, I'm fine. And like if you're African, you know, we don't go to the hospital, we don't take medicine, like we just have our home remedies. So I think it just kind of caught me and my sister off guard, and like my mom is just like she was such a strong woman, so like she never made it seem like, you know, she was in that much pain till the end. That's when I really saw her going through pain. But so I guess what had happened was she got diagnosed with colon cancer, and then it ended up spreading to her liver. So she ended up living, though, for about 3 years after that. So she lived pretty long for someone that had stage 4. But it was just really weird because she did have stage 4 and she did go through chemo. And they made it seem like, you know, she just needed to complete a certain amount of chemo sessions and
she would be okay.
Yeah, she'd be okay, which it was. And then I guess it came back.
And it would move to her liver at that point.
Yeah, it moved to her liver.
So what role did you play in that? Being as though your mom was separated from your dad at this point, it's just you and your sister. What role did you play in that? Like, were you like, you know, caregiver sometimes, or like, did you step up? Did you feel like you had to step up? You know, just what role did you play in?
Yeah,
during that time?
me and my sister definitely stepped up.
Okay.
I remember getting a job when I was like in 10th grade, and then paying bills to help my mom out, and then what else? Like whenever she'd be sick, we'd of course go with her to chemo, and she would have to be there throughout the weekend. So it'd be from like Friday, Saturday, like come home Sunday. And trying to think, it was so long ago. It's been 10 years.
It's probably like a blur now.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I can intercede in that too, because I remember backstory. Ella and I have known each other since I don't remember.
I want to say since
you were in
I was
elementary
like,
school.
Yeah, since I was like 8. And we did not like each other.
We did not, but that's a story from another story. I was her sister's friend, and she was an annoying little sister.
And she thought she was my mother.
I think she's everybody's mother.
But I remember when your mom was going through the stage of illness, you guys had it seemed like you and your sister had an internal battle between being adults and children. Because I remember y'all going to take care of her, but then the weekends that she was away, like throwing house parties at the house.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Yes.
Say that again?
So we're not throwing.
No, not throwing, but like we'd be open, like that came out.
Wait. Say that again. So what happened?
I said I remember when her mom was going through chemo. There'd be times where she'd be at the hospital for a certain amount of days, and then she'll come back home.
Okay.
I remember her when she was home and stuff. Like they were home caretakers, full caretakers. When she was away, they would caretakers during the day, and in the night, we would come over and have.
To clarify that, it was 2 parties. And it was during homecoming.
There were a few sleepovers, though. I slept over your house.
Okay, sleepovers, we did have sleepovers. There was only 2 parties.
But I wasn't saying
But
that
honestly, not to interject, but honestly, I feel like that was probably good for you guys having them around, because I can only imagine how stressful it was, and if you didn't have your friends there for your sleepovers and your little sneaky parties or whatever, it probably would have been even tougher than it already was. So
I think thinking about it now, I definitely appreciated that. I think in the moment I was just really going through the motions. So just kind of like, I'm here. And I'm just having to do what I have to do to make sure my mom's okay, to make sure to like have a life kind of. And I remember my cousin, she would always tell us like, go have fun. So like, go have fun, like go to homecoming, go to prom, like just go to certain things and like kind of still be normal. Cause like there was, like I said, it was very like up and down with her health sometimes, because she'd be fine and then she wouldn't be sometimes, but then she would be again. I guess also to answer your question, I think her being sick has like triggered something in me now. So like anytime anybody's sick, I'm like, oh my God, okay. I'm a doctor. Like my dad always tells me like I should have went to school to be a doctor, a nurse or something like that. Cause like I get so involved and like it's like a trigger point for me. I'm like, oh my, so I'm on Google. Super nurturing. I'm on Google. I'm searching everything. Like, how can we make sure this person does not continue being sick?
I want to ask you too about the emotional roller coaster prior to her passing, because if my memory serves me right, before she passed, she was actually really she had a point where she was really good, and there was a lot of optimism. Like I remember before she passed, she even came and picked up us up from school one time, me too, and I, your sister, and she seemed really healthy and to be like there was that there was hope. And then she happened to unfortunately pass. How was that emotionally for you, the roller coaster of like uncertainty?
It was a lot, but I think like I just like acted like I was okay. So I think that helped me like get through it. And then also, of course, like I said, my mom was just so tough.
She covered it.
She covered it so well. I've probably seen my mom cry like less than 10 times in my life. And one thing, like, she told us, like, when she, I guess it's like on her deathbed, it was like, she's not, sorry.
It's okay. Take your time, girl. It's okay.
That she's not scared to die. And, like, she's not afraid. And, like, she just told us things that she wanted for me and my sister. And how she just wanted us to be close, to, chase our dreams, go to school, get an education, but always, like, have a strong relationship with each other. So, like, she really didn't show weakness till the end, honestly. I felt like, and I always think this, and I always, like, want to go to the hospital she was at and, like, get her papers, because she ended up having to do a surgery in the middle of her chemo. No, after she was done with chemo, and they said she had what was it? Stones. It's like when you have stones.
Gallstones or kidney stones?
I think, she had some sort of stones, I don't remember. And they did a surgery in one day, and they let her out the same day. And I'm like, how do you let a cancer patient out the same day you do a surgery like that? So I always thought that because of that surgery, it opened up her body to air. And I think that's what caused her to really get sick. Because after that, she came home, and she was just really weak. And then she went back to the hospital because she just was really sick. And then they ended up putting her in ICU for 7 days. And I remember this doctor asking me, it doesn't look good. And do you want us to pull the plug?
And how old were you when that doctor asked you that?
I was 17, and I was by myself. Like, my sister had moved to Richmond to go to school, so they were only asking me because my parents are separated.
Right.
So I was just kind of like in shock that he would ask me that. Like, why would you not fight till the end? Like, she's clearly still breathing. And sometimes I think about that moment, because if I would have said yes, then she would have missed out on a couple more months of living. Because that was in October. And she died February.
Wow. Yeah, and that kind of brings up a topic that we should touch on more, like being your own advocate.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to be, and at 17, how could you have known?
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like, you're like, never again. Like I would question that doctor a little bit more. And it's good that what did you say in that moment? Were you?
I think I was more in shock.
Yeah, I was about to say, wait, what?
I was like, why would you ask me that?
What'd they say? What did the doctor say?
And he was just like, just from what we see, what's going on. Like
he saw you were
he was
young
nice.
too.
Yeah, he was nice about it. But I think
sometimes doctors they're just so into the health care portion of, that they forget about the human part.
I think they see death every day.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and ICU is a very limited place.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're not seeing progress. We could bring someone else in here.
Exactly. They forget
that's
to them, she's a patient, but to you, that's your mom.
That's my family member.
Yeah,
and I do think that if there are any doctors watching this, I don't want you to lose sight of that. Because you need that. Because at the end of the day, it's not just another body. Another person, getting away. I know it's a job to you, but you get into this field, I think it's important that why you're here, because it's special. The things that the people you get to experience, like it's a special job.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
So let's dig down a deeper. This is going to be one where we're going to pace ourselves with. We're going to take one more step into. We talked about prior to her passing away. Let's talk about the day that she passed away. Can you tell us what that was like for you?
I remember this big blizzard came into town, and I had family over. It was at night. I want to say it was at 10 at night. And I was actually at my friend's house. She lived in the same apartment complex we lived in. And I was sitting on her stairs and I was talking to her. And I remember getting a call from my sister crying, like, you need to come home. Like, Mom has passed. And I remember she lived all the way on the opposite end of where we lived. So me and her are through the snow, running all the way to my house. And my mom was already in hospice care at that point because she had been, I guess you, I don't want to say go to sleep, but it comes to a point where you're still alive, you're still breathing, but you're not conscious. Yeah, you're in a coma. Yeah. So I go in there and everyone is crying, and it was just wow, she's dead on the bed.
Oh wow! So you didn't really experience the moment she took her last breath?
No, I didn't. I wasn't there.
You know what was special though? You weren't there, but I remember that when you went, the first thing Ella did was you painted her nails, right?
I did.
Oh, that's beautiful, Ella.
Yeah.
She did.
I did paint her nails.
I remember that vividly.
Well, why did you do that?
Yeah.
I think just to do one last thing for her.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I used to always painting her nails.
Oh, that was your thing?
Yeah, I would paint her nails.
That's sweet. What would you say happened in that moment? To you as a person, did it change you forever? In that moment, what do you think happened?
It did. I think it changed my whole perspective about life.
Yeah. How?
I think because I was so young, I was just even people you care about will leave you at some point in your life.
We're going to bookmark that statement.
Wait, repeat that?
Even people that care about you and love you will leave you at some point in life.
And we'll bookmark that because I feel as if that was a key. That statement was key to the Ella that I think I knew that you had to evolve out of.
Yeah, that was really big for me. And I think I also changed as a person and I became very patient and more understanding because I didn't have that before.
Yeah, you didn't have to.
Yeah, I didn't have that.
Right.
I could hold a grudge. I just it gave me a whole new perspective, but then I think it made it easy for me to let people go.
So it's you grew in some areas and evolved as a person, but then it also brought up some defense mechanisms. That you started to carry along.
I think it was a way to maybe protect myself.
I think that it's that's a sense of abandonment Because, I mean, your mom didn't abandon you. Yeah. But, like, just like our grief shows up in different things, you grieve for relationships, abandonment also shows up in different ways, too. Yeah. Like, if a parent passed away, you realize, like, well, if my mom could leave me, anybody could leave me. So nothing lasts forever. Yeah. And that becomes, like, a wall that you put up.
I think I more so dealt with daddy issues before my mom leaving me, because I understood that was out of her control and she would never do that. But with my dad, because we just had such an interesting relationship growing up, and we have a better relationship now.
Sorry, Dad, if you're watching this, Dad.
So I think it came out in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I got really mad at my dad because he did end up coming that night, and like he was like crying, and I was just like in my mind thinking like a lot of her sickness had to do with him. And then I ended up going away for school. I went to college, and
you went to New York at that point, right?
I decided to stay in state because of my mom passing, because she died my senior year of high school. So I was going to go to school in New York, but I don't know. I think I got scared, like, just to be out of state, especially in New York. I feel like New York is like a jungle.
Yeah, of course.
And I felt like at that time,
I'm not ready. I'm not ready
for that. I'm not ready for that.
I'm not ready to be in a while right now.
So I ended up going to Old Dominion University.
Okay. Yes, I do remember. That's how you visited us so much.
That's how we met.
Yes.
Yeah, and while I was there, I was able to come up with my own reasoning as to why my mom died, and I was able to forgive my dad.
I love that. We're going to touch on that some more. I think before we get to the next portion of this, I want to know, like, your mom passed when you were a senior in high school.
Yeah.
Of course, went through all these hardships in high school as a teenager. Like, how did her passing affect your identity as a teenager, like at that exact moment? Like, how do you think your mom passing as you being a senior in high school affected your whole life?
I feel like people looked at me as not pity, but like a victim.
So just like a lot of people at school knew?
Yeah, the whole school knew. I even like got a scholarship.
Wow. Thank you, Mama. You still blessing me at the end of the day.
I guess like because people were just like, wow, like you even coming to school, like, and being able to finish. And I think just my mom like wanting that from me, like it gave me that drive.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like people just looked at me like, oh, like you poor girl, like you just lost your mom, like how's life? Like, oh my God. Even till today, I think when I see some of my friends' parents, they look at me like that girl, that little girl that just lost her mom.
That's so crazy to say, because I have some people I went to school with, and I never forget that.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. I have people I went to school with who I know mom passed.
Yeah.
And I always remember that. And I don't think, and I want to tell you that it's not out of pity. It's just because it's like, you just, like, your heart goes out to them, and it kind of makes you just want to, like, see them do well.
Yeah.
You're
rooting for them.
Yeah, rooting for them.
Yeah, I definitely thought people were rooting for me. I didn't think they weren't, but I think they just looked at me.
How did that make you feel, though?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I can still see how that would make, let me not speak for you. How did that make you feel?
I think it made me feel sad in the beginning, because it's like, dang, I'm that girl.
Yeah.
Like, oh, did you hear? She just lost her mom.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't know what I would do if I lost my mom.
Yeah. That's what people think, though.
That's real, though. That's real, because that's what you think.
Yeah.
And then I think that was the main thing. Like, it's just like, you have those silent whispers. I mean, as time went on, like, of course, that changed, and it wasn't just that, because I went away to school, and a lot of people didn't know, like, my mom died, but like,
you were able to reroute your identity when you went to school.
But then, of course, when you tell people, because people will be like, oh, what does your mom do, or where does your mom live?
Oh, so you had to keep reliving it.
Yeah, till today I still relive
what is
it,
that like? What was that like? Having to relive and telling that story, or just, telling people like, well, my mom has passed, and then they're automatically, because I know for me, I always say things like, oh, I'm so sorry. And so it's like, how was that?
I think at the beginning, I was just kind of like, when people are like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know what to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, and then I learned, thank you. Because at first I used to be like, it's okay.
Right.
Like,
It's not
of course
your
it's
fault.
not okay.
It's okay. Right.
Yeah.
You're gonna be okay.
And then honestly, I would hear how other people respond and they'll just say thank you. I'm like, that's a good answer. So I'm gonna just say thank you.
Knowing that I do know you, I know that before you went to college, there was like a period there where you and your sister had to go and live with a family member after your mom passed away. Can you tell our audience more about that?
Yeah, so I didn't finish school yet because I still had a couple months, I think it's like 4 months. And my sister was already done with school. And we could have stayed in our apartment, but I remember our cousins, which we thought at the time, or not we thought, but like they were like a second parent to us.
Yeah.
And they, of course, I think they didn't want us to live there by ourselves so young. So they told us like, we 110% like would want you guys to come live with us because they had like a big house in Maryland.
It was 2 people. They were married.
It was
they're
her
married.
cousin and her husband.
Her husband.
The cousin was the boy.
No, cousin
No, it was
was
the
the girl.
girl.
And her husband.
And her husband.
Yeah. So they asked us, they're like, if you guys want, like you can come live with us. Because at the time, I didn't have the best relationship with my dad. So we just in our minds like had it like, these are like our second mom and dad. So like, of course, like we'd want to live with you guys. So we ended up moving out of our apartment in Virginia and we moved to Maryland. And I lived there till I graduated and then eventually went to college.
How was that experience?
That experience taught me that you don't know somebody till you live with them.
That's a gem.
Can you elaborate?
Yeah, so, growing up, I really looked at them like they were like, my second parents. They were always like, they were fun. They were like the fun people.
Yeah.
And as kids, you always want to cling to the adult that lets you have the most fun.
Right.
And I remember when we eventually like packed up and like the last few things we moved into their house, I remember sitting down with my cousin and her husband and it was like a light switch. It was like day and night of who I thought they were. Because I don't want to say who, and at that point, not yet, but they just had all these rules. And me and my sister had never had rules before. Like, my mom was just really big on do well in school. So I always did well in school. So because of that, I could do whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I could go out with my friends. I could spend the night. It was not a problem.
Yeah.
And I used to even go to New York a lot with my friends.
Ella was like 14 years old, 15, 14 in New York, and this Howard homecoming. I'm like, girl, sit. That's why they like this. Sit the fuck down.
I wish I did, though.
It's like, sit down.
So, what happened? So they sat us down and they told us we had to be home at this time. We couldn't have friends over. We couldn't spend the night at people's houses. And I was like, dang, like, y'all could be a little lenient.
And you were like, about to be 18
I was already
at
very
this point.
mature, like, because I had to grow up quickly.
I was just about to say, is the dynamic of, because when I was younger, I was like, I thought like, oh, they're evil. They're this, that, and the third. But as I grew older, I understood that it was different dynamics. They also had a young child at the time. So,
They did.
So there's a dynamic of 2 people who have been pretty much grown for the past 4 years, caretakers, coming into a house with 2 fairly new parents who are trying to, I think of if me and Anthony had teenagers come in the house, we would want a level of structure there. And I think it was just an incongruency of both people's expectations. Their expectation of parenthood was like structure and do this. Meanwhile, Ella and her sister were like, we're not new to this. We're new to this.
So maybe they felt like you needed that. Do you think they felt like she needed that?
I more so felt like if anything happened, they wanted to make sure that they said what they said to tell our family members. Like, just to make sure, like, to save their back, just in case we do something crazy. Which I thought was pretty interesting because they know us so well. So it was interesting, but also at the same time, my actual cousin didn't live in America. She worked in the UN, so she lived in another country. So just her husband. And
so you were just living with her husband and
her husband, the child, and the nanny.
Yeah.
And so of course the nanny's always with the kid. And her husband was way more lenient. But then as time went on, things started to change. And it didn't feel comfortable being there anymore.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait to go to school.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it brought me a lot of anger a little bit, like against them. Because I was just like, why are they treating us like this? It felt
were they treating you like you were a burden?
It felt more of like a Cinderella story.
Wow.
So I couldn't understand it at the time. But now I've forgiven them, and I don't really hold anything against them, but it is kind of hard sometimes to like want to interact more with them and be around their kids, because I love their kids.
Are they trying to? They still try to have a relationship with you?
I think in the beginning, like after I moved out, like my cousin would try to like speak to me and like always like interact and like just have because we used to be really close. Like we used to do holidays together. We were always at their house. Like my mom was super close with her mom, which is my aunt. So it was really like a close-knit family. So I think after that, of course you're gonna feel the distance and not wanting to, come to certain things, or like you might not answer the phone. And it's definitely gotten better over time, but I just feel like it can't ever really be the same
back to
again.
how it used to be.
Yeah.
And it makes me think that it's kind of like you're losing so many people at one time.
Yeah.
Because it's like you lost your mom, and then it's like, okay, you were like a second mother to me. Now I'm losing that too. So that could be one of the reasons why you kind of had that defense mechanism of people leave and, being that way. So
like it just really taught me like you just don't know somebody.
Yeah.
And I felt like, and they were people like you could put my head on the chopping block that I thought I knew so well.
Yeah.
So it just really surprised me. I was like, oh my God, this is not who I know.
Yeah. Aw. I think that's a great segue into the next portion. You want to introduce the next portion?
Yeah, so one thing we like to do with Can I Grow is, while we want to talk about tough topics that we think everyone can relate to, we also want to make sure that we help you with navigating through it. So it's like, okay, cool, we know this exists, but what I'm supposed to do now?
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? So what we want to do is try to like help walk you through this. So Ella, we kind of want to walk you through the 5 stages of growth.
Yeah.
The 5 stages of grief. So, if you got a little bit of...
So there are 5 stages of grief that psychology says that most people have to go through. The last stage, I'll go through the stages. So the first stage of grief is denial. That's when it's just unreal, like, I can't believe this. Like, I can't believe my mom's gone. Second stage of grief is anger. And sometimes that anger comes out towards other people. Sometimes that anger, it comes out to you, but you're just angry. The third stage of grief is bargaining. That's when you start thinking, if I had just done this, if the hospital had just done this, if God, if I had just done this, my mom would still be there. The fourth state is depression, and we all know what that is. That's when you go into deep sadness, when it hits you that this is real.
Yeah.
And if you're able to fight through that depression, then the last stage is acceptance, where you're not done grieving. It still hits you sometime, but you accept the reality and you officially start your growth journey. So we just want to unpack those 5 stages with you to see if you resonate with them, and for you to tell our audience how you experience them. So starting with...
And be honest, if you're not even at the breakthrough, it's okay.
Yes.
So
you don't have to have it all together.
Right. You don't. So,
So the first stage is denial. Like when you first lost your mom, how did you experience denial, and what were some of the ways it showed up in your life?
That's a good question.
I was in denial for like a quick second. I remember thinking like after a couple of days, like, oh my God, this is real. Or oh my God, this isn't real. I'm sorry. Like, this isn't real. Like, even like when I saw her laying there, after she had passed, I was like, you know, she can come back.
Yeah.
Maybe she can come back. And as like the days went on, it's like, this is real. This is real.
Yeah.
But it's not, but it is. And I think I officially understood it was real when we moved out of the apartment.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, no, this is
real.
Yeah. I think another thing too is I don't think me and my sister could have lived there knowing that she passed in that room. So I think that was like another main reason why we wanted to leave that apartment. But yeah, I think after leaving that apartment is when I accepted the fact that it's happening and she's passed.
So you are no longer in denial.
And denial's such a real thing because, I mean, I haven't lost a parent before, but just last year, so I lost my grandfather. And you know how our relationship was. I was really close to him. And I remember we were out at a festival when I found out that I lost him. And I literally was like able to like go through the entire festival. But then I ended up having like passing out where like your body physically, well, my body physically, although mentally I was blocking out the realities, physically my body was like, girl, you're not okay.
Yeah, I remember that because I was like, are you sure? I'm fine. We're fine. Let's get through it. Like, I don't like to sit. And you were like, when I get home, it's going to be a lot going on. So let's just
have fun
right now, you know? But yeah, her body said, nah.
Right.
We tapped out.
Right? You're actually sad right now.
She tapped out in the middle of the home.
You're actually really sad, so you need to sit down. So that I think denial is a real thing that you go through during loss, where it's kind of like, this is somebody that I talk to every single day. Like, this is my doggone mom. Like, oh, she's not here no more.
Right.
As we know, the next stage is anger. So my question for you is, can you talk about the anger you felt after your mom passing? Like, how did you express or cope the anger as a teenager and later as an adult?
I think I was more so angry that I had to live with my cousins.
Yeah.
And that I couldn't live with my dad. And that I wish, like, he would be a better dad. And he did. He did become a better dad.
Later,
Yeah. I would say, honestly, like, something in him did, like,
come
click,
alive,
like, when he actually saw her there and she had passed. And, like, he changed. Completely changed. And, but at that time, I was like, why couldn't he be a better dad? Why do I have to live here? I was more so angry at that, like, and I felt like, you know, we were being mistreated. Yeah. And that made me angry because this wouldn't be happening if my mom was here.
I got a question too I want to ask you. I see a lot of times people get angry with God. Did you ever experience any anger with God?
No, I didn't.
Can you specify why?
I think I'm more so like, I'm kind of like you in a sense where I ask why.
Yeah.
Why? Like, I want to know. Like, so I think I more so was trying to figure out a reason why she died. Like, I felt like it wasn't a mistake.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It's a reason. I love that.
There's a reason why she died. And the reason I concluded too was, I think God wanted me and my sister to have a relationship with my dad.
That's what I was about to say. I think that click that your dad took, that was why. Like, he wanted him to be a better dad. Yeah. To be a better man.
And it's funny too, because I remember when you're telling the stories and you walked in the house and you say you saw your dad crying, anger immediately came up.
Yeah. I was like, who gives you the right to be in here crying? And, you know, just sad. Like, why did you get to be sad?
Right. He wasn't, because he wasn't, was he not the best to your mom?
At a point, no, they did not have a good relationship. Towards the end of us, like, them splitting, it wasn't a good situation.
How did he receive that? Because I'm sure the anger came out in certain ways. Like, was he continuing to be forthcoming with you? How did he receive it, you know?
Oh, like, I don't want to say he ignored it, but, like, he just kept going. And he was just still very nice and just very understanding that
took
we
the
lost.
hits well.
That's what I'm about to say. As he should.
And I was a lot nicer than my sister.
Oh, yeah. But her sister gave it to him. To the point I felt bad for him.
Yeah, I definitely accepted it better.
Okay.
But they said that where in life, wherever you see anger, you need to dig deeper.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's a fruit deeper whenever you see anger that has like a revelation there. So I think it's very profound that your anger was towards your father, because I feel like that's something that a light that God sparked that actually throughout your life I've seen since your mom passed bloom.
Yeah. I definitely was able to have more empathy for him eventually, and not feel so angry towards him.
Yeah.
Because I think I was more so really angry that day, and then as time went on, like it was like lessening.
Yeah.
And then honestly, you can't be angry at your mom.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
where do this displaced anger go? Sorry at you, you know? So it's like, it was kind of like a place for that, all that energy and that passion to go.
Yeah. And then you're angry too. That's really true. He's the only one that can take all of it.
Right.
You're angry that you're living with your cousins. You're angry you have all these rules all of a sudden. You're angry. Everyone's sad. Looks at you as the poster of sadness. You know what I'm trying to say?
That girl at this moment.
You have this big grief sign on your forehead and all of those things. So who you gonna be angry at? Dad, come over here. Come get the smoke. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, he definitely received it well.
Yeah,
and I applaud him for that. So
he
good
did.
job.
And before we even go to the next questions, I'm curious what do you think your mom's death has done to you and your dad's relationship? Because we talk about your anger towards him, but we're all about growth on this podcast.
Right.
I want to know about the evolution between you and your dad, your relationship since your mom's death.
Oh, it's great. I think after I went away to school, I always say like going to ODU was like meant for me because I love water, and there's just there's Virginia Beach, and then we always had like this like lake or something like, and luckily my cousin, she went there too, and she actually lost her father due to liver cancer when she was super young. So I think being able to have her there and us like just like we understand one another, we went through something together, helped me be more understanding, be more patient, and forgive my dad a lot quicker than I ever thought I would. Because I thought I was gonna hold something against him for a long time. But I think like me and her would it would be freezing cold, and we would go to the water and just be like,
wow,
over there.
God placed her in your life.
Yeah.
Just for that. Just for her to help you get through that.
Yeah. So like she, of course, already went through it, and I think she was even going through her own stuff.
Yeah,
you probably helped her too.
Yeah. Because it even surprised me how quickly I became so understanding, so patient, and so nice. Because I think growing up, like
you was a mean girl.
I wasn't mean, but I think if you tried me, like I had to one up you. Like you did something to me.
Like somebody I know. That's why y'all buddied.
This is not about me. This is about her.
That's why y'all buddied. Because if you try to get somebody, she gonna get you back. Y'all would be getting each other.
Yeah. So I think I was able to like let that all go and have like more understanding. And then I think the biggest thing is when I read this book called The 4 Agreements. Yeah. And I understood. And
I'm reading that right now.
Yeah, it's a great book. He's a great author.
What's the book?
I texted it to you. Remember on your way to Georgia?
Oh, that's the book that you told me to get.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Didn't I tell you to read that?
No, my friend actually bought that book for me. I had a girlfriend.
I know I told you to
You might have told me, but
I told everybody to read that.
I didn't listen. I had a girlfriend that came. She's like, "This book I want you to read," and then 2 days later, it was at my doorstep, so I had to read it because she spent her money.
No, it's a short book too. It's not long. It's a really good book, and like one of the agreements to me that always stuck out was that don't take anything personal. Like anything anyone does to you has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. Yes. So once I figured that out, I was like, oh, okay, like my dad had issues going on.
Yeah.
And later he was able to say, he did have things going on. And I think just having grace too, I learned to have grace with people. Yeah. And
life will do that to you, girl.
Yeah.
Life will. That's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, because I'm gonna bring it back to a second. In our last episode, we're talking about how I'm hard on myself sometimes, and I was wondering why. And I realized that's because in my mind, there's nothing anybody can say or do that is not a reflection of them. And if it's bothering me, that's a reflection of me. So I don't really care. Not that I don't care. I don't really care about what other people think or say unless it's something insecurity that's already in my heart. So that goes back to
just heightens it.
Yes, exactly.
Because like, dang, I already know that about myself. You know it too.
Exactly.
It's
So
like you can see it.
you can see it, right? Exactly. But if you come to me and say, you're ugly, I don't think I'm ugly, so it's just go over my head. But if you talk about insecurity I already have, it's like, yeah. So that's why whenever people make a big deal about what other people like, people don't believe in me or people this and it doesn't, that's a sign that you don't believe in yourself. But that's for another whole episode. But back to what I was saying about you, I think it's a powerful thing that you chose to forgive your dad. That shows the power of forgiveness, because I think that was like a catalyst to propelling you through your healing journey.
But I do think it did become my downfall too.
How?
So because of daddy issues that you don't know you have till later, I ended up a couple years later getting in a very toxic relationship. And it was like kind of like my first relationship. And I was like, oh, I have to forgive. I didn't have boundaries to forgive.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, so I think that like made me realize, okay, you can forgive, but that don't mean you stay.
Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation.
Yeah, that's real.
So it kept me longer than I needed to be.
I mean, but the fact that you were able to assess that and say like, you know, dang, that's why.
Yeah.
Speaks measures.
I was going to say, you've become very introspective. That's like,
it's hard for people to do that
Girl,
too. It's hard for people to
girl.
look within themselves and say, dang, that's where I came. It's easy to place the
Don't we
blame.
always talk about this, Ro, how you cannot grow until you decide to look within yourself and go through the painful process of being like, that needs to change about me, that needs to change about me. If you just, I'm fine, it's other people's problems, and you're never introspective, you're going to stay stuck for the rest of your life.
Stuck for the rest of your
Stuck
life.
like Chuck.
Stuck like Chuck. Facts.
I think I've always also been big on like, tell me what's
Open
tell me
to
so,
it.
yeah, like tell me something I don't know, like about myself. Like, I want to know, like, because I've always wanted to see the other person's point of view.
Even though it's tough, that's tough.
It's tough pill to swallow. It really is.
I didn't always accept it. Well, it wasn't that I wasn't accepting. I was just kind of like, I don't think they're seeing right.
Yeah. No, because in your mind, you're like, me? Something wrong with me? That's hilarious. So, the next stage is bargaining, which is when you start saying, like, if I only had done this, if
She
this
kind
had
of did that a little
and
bit.
you did do that. So my question is, during the bargaining stage, were there moments you found yourself wishing or praying for things to be different? And how did those thoughts shape your grief process?
I think for a long time, and even kind of till today, I'm always like, that surgery that she did to take her kidney stones out, I feel like that always killed her.
Yeah.
Because that exposed her body to air, so that allowed cancer to spread.
Yeah.
I'm not no doctor, but that's just my thought.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to go get paperwork and see if it was even right for them to like let her out of the hospital the same day. I thought that was always so crazy, because literally, I want to say she came home and the next day, as I'm in school, I find out she went to the hospital.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Don't take this the wrong way. I ask Ro this question all the time. What would finding out do for you?
I think maybe like, I don't want to say give me peace of mind, because I am at peace.
Yeah.
But just kind of like, is my theory right?
I just want to know.
Yeah,
right?
like,
It's just that simple. I just want to know.
I just want to know. Like,
Y'all are really alike. It's so crazy how much you guys are alike. So I think our next stage is depression. How, Ella, did depression manifest for you after losing your mom? And what steps did you take to begin addressing your mental health during that time?
I think I was able to just like completely shut off my emotions. I think I'm really good at feeling other people's, and I think that was like an outlet for me. So I never really tried to dig deep to see how I felt.
Yo, you're speaking to me right now. I think I do that often. Yes. I be so focused on everyone else. I don't really have time to assess me. And when people start asking me, that's why when I was talking to Ella, she started asking me questions, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about being on the other side of the table.
And you called that out about her.
I said that, yeah.
Because when she was watching one of the episodes we had, she said, Renata looks nervous when she's talking about herself. But then when she stopped talking about herself, she calmed down. Yeah. Like, she started putting you on the hot seat.
I don't know. I think that's the way I've been able to connect with people. To really just dig in deep into them and figure out what's going on with them and help them. So I guess that goes back into like that, I guess like a characteristic trait I picked up from being like a caretaker with my mom.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
I think now I do it in that way. I'm so curious about other people and how they're doing and how I can help. And I think it made me realize mental health is very important.
Yeah.
But I didn't see that for myself.
Yeah. I was about to ask, do you think you ever were in a depression? Like, looking back, can you say like, dang, I might have been depressed at this moment, but I didn't realize it?
Because coming from a clinical perspective, depression doesn't always show up as sadness.
Right, sleeping in the bed all day, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes depression is the opposite, where like you're on go, or depression just doesn't always show up as sadness.
And sometimes it hits you when you're alone too. Sorry.
But I've always done well with being alone.
Okay.
So I think for me, I more so moved around a lot. So I think that helped me be on the go, keep myself busy. And I just wasn't thinking about it. I'm like, I just want to make my mom proud. I want to graduate college.
Yeah.
And that was just what was important to me. I think the one time I actually remember being sad is, I don't know if you remember, it was your graduation. Like, I remember everyone came over for your graduation to get your master's.
Oh, master's.
It was your master's.
Yeah.
The one in Atlanta?
Yeah, and I remember just like, wow, like I think I was just like such in awe, like your whole family was there, and it was just like so exciting. And then I think it made me like look at myself like, dang, my mom can't come to my graduation. And then it made me realize also I'm not that close with my family anymore either. And I feel like you guys have such a strong bond, and I'm like, wow, I can't wait to have my own family.
I like that.
And I was just like, wow, it's just so beautiful, but it made me finally look at myself. But that took so many years. At that point, it had already been like 4 or 5 years,
More
maybe.
than that,
But that's like a vivid memory I had. You don't remember like me coming into your room when we talked about it? Because you're like, where did you go?
Yeah, we did have that conversation. Even later, I was kind of mean to my mom. And I remember you kind of checking me about that.
Yeah. That's one thing I started doing when people like talk bad about their parents. I'm like, you won't be saying that when they're not here. Like, so enjoy
that's
them
real.
while they can. And I think that's what I started to do with my dad too, because I'm like, he's here now. He's doing
Love
the
him
best.
while he's here. He's doing the best he can.
Yeah, and he really like, stepped up and like I feel like really was like a good dad. But he was also when I was younger, but things happen. But yeah, so I think I really became like that friend that's like, don't be talking about your mom and dad like that.
She paid for my mom to go to the spa. I felt really bad.
That's sweet.
So it made me like really appreciate that aspect, because I think when you have your parents here, you don't see them leaving. And you're just like, oh, you can stay mad at them, you can get into fights, and it's just a lot easier. But like when you know that once they're gone, it gives you like a whole new perspective. But I think to answer y'all question though, I don't think I ever went into like a deep depression. I just remember little bits and moments and pieces.
Came in spits.
I would think another time too was when I was in that relationship. I think I felt it there, because I was just like thinking to myself, like, what would my mom think if she knew I was in a relationship with this person? And
do you ever like dream about her? Does she talk to you in your dreams?
Yes. I don't know if I should say this.
No, say.
Yeah. I don't know, because every time she comes in my dreams, though, I feel like it's not always the best situation. Like, it's not like, oh, we're happy in a garden full of roses or something like that. It's always like real life situations.
Maybe that's when you need her the most.
Yeah, maybe.
Or I have another theory. Do you think, I mean, you say you've never experienced deep depression. Mm-hmm. Do you think you've allowed yourself, because the next step is the last step. Acceptance. Do you think you've allowed yourself to truly confront the emotions behind losing your mom? Like the deep emotions?
I think I've started to.
Yeah.
I don't think I've completely gotten to that point. I don't think I probably will, maybe till I have kids. Mm-hmm. So I don't think so fully, but I've gotten a lot better. I'm like an onion, so like I'm still like layering things back.
I have a follow-up question. So when you say that it's never on the best circumstances, what did you gather? What does it bring you when she comes? Does it bring confusion? Does it bring what does it bring you when you see your mom in your dreams and she comes to talk to you?
Are you proud of me? Mm. Are you happy about where I'm at in life? Yeah, those are like the main things. It's like, are you proud of me?
You ask her that?
Yeah, I used to pray and ask about that. Mm-hmm. And then I finally came to the point and I said, she is proud of me, because at the end of the day, I'm doing the best I can. Mm-hmm. And I feel like she wouldn't have a reason not to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I kind of want to incorporate this into it, but I feel like people don't talk about, because there's things I realized, as I grew older, that my mom did that I don't agree with.
It's okay to say that, girl. We are here for that.
Yeah, I'm so here
it's
for
a respectful way to say it and still love your parents.
We were just talking about that
to Dom,
and I'm so glad you brought that up. Before and after Dom, we're talking about Dom's episode about fatherhood. We were talking about how it doesn't have to be either or. You can love your parent alive or passed away and still hold them accountable and not agree with certain things that they did. That doesn't take away an ounce or a drop of love,
respect, admiration, honor that you have for your parent, because
they're human.
Even your kids, you love them the most, but you still hold them accountable. So why can't you hold your parents accountable? Well, honestly, they're just figuring stuff out.
When someone dies, you just like how people looked at me like, oh, poor you, your mom just died. When someone dies, I think they've come to this holy place,
that is
and you can't really
Because think about it, people don't ever talk negatively about the dead.
They don't.
I've been to a million funerals. My dad's a pastor, and he preaches at more funerals than I'd like. But I've been to a million funerals, and it just baffles me that all million of these people cannot be perfect people.
Yeah.
Sue was the best person I knew. James was the best
That's
person I knew.
That's when they give you your flowers, girl.
But the flowers be fake, because Sue was a woman. Sue was a hoe, and James was a womanizer. And y'all all know this, because all 5 of James' wives and baby mamas are here, and the homes he broke and the woman he used to beat, they're all sitting on the front row. So why are we, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I think you can respect the dead, but at the same time, it still baffles me that why is it that when someone dies, we just blot out the things that made them human.
I guess too, because they're no longer here to
defend themselves.
Exactly. Defend themselves. So who are we to speak on why they did the things they did, or
they're no longer here, but you can still speak on the same way
your experience.
Exactly. The same way, who am I to speak on something like right now a lot is going on in the media with P. Diddy. Who am I to speak on that, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that don't change the fact that I got an opinion. I'm not going to publicly be like, my opinion, blah, 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 but I got an opinion. So dead or alive, I think you still have an opinion.
Yeah.
So back to that. That was a great point.
Yeah, I think as I started maturing and growing up, I was like, I actually don't agree with this. And at first I'm like, can I not agree?
You can, sis.
And then as time went on, I was like, you know what? I don't agree with this. I don't feel like this is right.
Are we allowed to ask for some of those things?
Yeah, I guess like one of the things that I remember was like when my parents are having a difficult time, you know, we would know about it.
Yeah.
And once I grew up, I realized we should have never knew about it. Even though I was that nosy kid and I wanted to know.
Did she tell you? Or you just could tell?
You know, I could just tell because like family members would get involved. So like I would, you know, hear when my mom is talking, and my mom might tell, like my mom would tell us little things.
Yeah.
And but then would be like, but that's your dad. You gotta respect him at the end of the day. Like I could feel like she was saying that though. She was like, that's your dad. You have to respect it. But as a kid, I'm like, but do we hate him or do we like him?
Right. Right.
Because he's not doing right. So like, like, what is it? Do I hate him? Do I love him? Like I didn't know what it was. But as I got older, I was like, we should have never knew anything.
Yeah.
That was none of our business. And that's something I remember. Honestly, I think that was like the main thing for me.
Yeah.
It's like as I was like starting to have a better relationship with my father and just learning more about child development.
Yeah.
I was like, I should have never knew about that. That is none of my business.
And to Mama's defense, I will say, me being a mom of two now, it's hard.
No, it is.
It's so hard to like, because they start to get aware. You never could really give time to yourself, like to even have disagreements with your significant other or whatever. Like it's hard. It's hard to shield them, but you got to try to do the best that you can to shield them from it. It's tough.
Yeah, I would say my mom did a great job though.
She
did a great job of shielding us, just really being there, doing the best she could, like taking care of us. Like she really didn't even make it seem like, you know, we were lacking in anything.
Yeah.
She did a great. I don't know how she did it, but like
Mom,
she did it.
hearing that.
Yeah,
like,
it's hard though. But yeah.
She was amazing. I think she taught me a lot of lessons that, like, you know, I never forgot. And she did an amazing job. But there's just like those little things. I'm like,
I'm gonna do it differently.
And like I think for me, I'm just like, I wonder, like, having that combo now, what would she say?
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. Like as you get older, like dang, like now that I'm older, we can actually have these. Even though my mom was actually very real with me.
Yeah.
Like she didn't really sugarcoat anything. I just wish like now I could have those combos.
Yeah.
We could have like deeper combos.
Because they mean
like,
deeper things now.
Yeah. And I have a better understanding now.
Yeah.
So I'm of age. Like she already understood things.
Yeah, now you're at the place where you could have that talk with her on a different level. It's like, you knew me as a kid, Mom.
Now
I want you to know, I want you to know me as a woman.
Yeah. One thing that like always stuck to me that like, I remember I was in 8th grade and she was like, you know, you shouldn't have a boyfriend till you're done with school. And I'm like, okay, high school? She's like, no, college. I'm like, college? You know, you know how far away that is? Like,
Right.
Like, my friends have boyfriends now.
I want a boyfriend and I want one now. Package.
And I wasn't really like in a rush to be in a relationship, but I just didn't understand. I'm like, but people are dating now.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with dating now? And like, she just broke it down to where, you know, a boy is like a distraction at the end of the day. He takes you away from your schoolwork. He'll take you away from your friends. He'll have you up all night, wonder where he's at, why he's not calling you back.
No, seriously.
You know,
that's real.
He could even cheat on you. Like, there's just so much to it that she's like, you're not going to understand really fully till you're older. But to save you the trouble, you really should wait. And that always like stuck by me. And I think it started to unfold with my friends.
You seen stuff they were going through.
I was like, oh, she might know something.
That's the same reason why I didn't really get into high school either.
Because boys are immature.
Yeah.
So it's like there's that. And no one was interesting.
But it takes for your mom to break things like that too. Because remember I was telling you the reason why I didn't really care much about boys, because my mom had me at a young age. And she was like, these things happened to me because I cared too much about boys.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna live my life and I'm gonna live it up. Like I'm gonna have fun with my friends, do all the things that my mom couldn't do because I want to, you know, live it up in this life.
And that's why I think it's important to break it down. Because even in the show, you know how I say, like, if you go make a bold statement, tell them how. what are the steps? Because you need to know, like, they're like, okay, I want to do that, but how? What do I do? You know? And I think that comes into play in parenthood too, you know? Just letting your kids know, like, hey, I don't want you to do this and this is why. Instead of just saying, because honestly,
I said so.
Literally, I think I was like, because I said so. Like, it was a lot of don't have sex. Why not? Just don't do it.
Then your curiosity starts
but
kicking
why?
in.
You know? So even, and what people don't realize is that if you don't answer it,
somebody will.
Yes.
Yeah.
They will go to their friends.
Yeah.
You know? So you would rather it come from you and within your household rather than them going searching for it from their friends.
That's so true. Well, that segments us into the last step of grief, which is acceptance. Acceptance is often described as the final step of grief. Can you share your journey towards acceptance and what it looks like for you today? And if you even think you've reached the step of acceptance?
I've definitely accepted her passing. I don't know why in my mind, I think until I have kids, I won't really fully see everything.
Yeah.
As a whole, like, I don't know, like, I don't know how to say it, but I just feel like kids is going to do something for me that is going to help me understand something on a deeper level.
And as a mom, I can tell you it will.
And that's what I was about to ask on what are you looking to gather specifically from having kids? Like, what are you looking to get from it in a sense of like around like acceptance? Like, are you looking to see like where your mother came from when she was raising you? Like, what is it that you're looking to kind of gather from being a mom?
I think also maybe like experiencing that unconditional love again.
That's sweet.
Yeah. I think that's like a big one. And then just, you know, now I'm a mom. Now I have a child. And the dynamics have changed.
You can be to her what you wanted.
To my, like, maybe to my younger self, to my child.
Oh, I can nurture her. I can be what she needs and what I needed, which can overall kind of like heal me.
That's healing process for you too.
It's like full circle.
Basically that.
Even as a mom, like, I think about myself and you too. Like, I mean, my mom is still here, but there's something that I said it's gonna really impact you when that time does come, because after I became a mom, the empathy I have for my mom, the understanding I have for my mom, for all moms, like, it changed. Like, my heart, things that used to upset me about my mom didn't upset me anymore. Like, the way I was grateful for her, because you really see, it's like something you can't speak. Being motherhood is something that I don't care how much people think they know, you'll never know until you're in it.
You're in it. 100%.
When she first died, I actually told myself, like, I don't think I'll be truly happy again until I have kids. I remember, like, I was 18 saying that. I don't even know why I was saying that.
Because it's the next journey, and it's like you're starting your own family.
And I think also, like, because I was such in a rush to grow up, I felt like I did a lot of things so early.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, okay, what now?
Yeah. So it's sounding like you're still in your journey of acceptance. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say so.
And that's okay, girl.
And I think it's just gonna be in waves. I say that a lot on social media, like, grief is in waves. Like, do you ever fully like get over this?
Yeah.
A lot of times people say no, they don't. You just kind of like accept it. So,
and then to be honest, days go by, years have gone by. So it's like you don't forget, but it's like the day keeps going.
You learn how to cope.
Still, life still keeps going. And either you get stuck or you keep going. And like, I think I get that from her is because she was always like, even with everything that happened growing up, like how just the dynamics of my family changed with them splitting, like she just kept it going. She's like, I have to do what I have to do. I'm gonna keep going. And she always did it with a smile on her face. So I think I got that from her subconsciously.
And I think that's why it's called acceptance and not getting over it.
Right, accepting it. Because
it's not a final destination.
And it's like, I'm not okay with it, but I mean,
I have to accept it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't change it.
Yeah.
So I just accept it. I do have one more bonus question, and I'm going to kind of track back a little bit before we wrap up. But before you stated how your mom gave you, you said something to you right before she passed, a little before she passed, about you and your sister. And I just want to know, like, what is that dynamic like now, as of today?
with
Your
me and my
sister.
sister.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a great relationship. I think me and her are like very similar.
Yeah.
So I think in the beginning we really butt heads because we were just so similar but different. And I think after I learned how to be more patient and understanding and all of those things I mentioned before, it became a lot easier to have a great relationship with my sister.
Yeah, because I always think like when you have siblings, it's like, dang, when your parents go,
you're all
we all we have outside of our own families. So I think it's important to try to have those relationships so you can have each other.
I have a few closing questions. One is, how do you honor your mom's life and legacy?
I think about that here and there because I've always, like, me and my sister always talked about like opening a school like back home in Ethiopia, like in her name, or like a charity or nonprofit program, and that's something we've always wanted to do, and I know eventually we will do it. As of right now, I think it's still kind of hard for the both of us to like really kind of, I guess, like do things in her memory, like when it's like her birthday or like the anniversary of her death or like Mother's Day. If I'm here, of course, we'll just like go to her cemetery and put flowers, and we'll be there a little bit, hang out there for a little bit if the weather's good, and then we'll just like go out to eat. But as far as like,
so I guess my last question before we wrap it up is, what would you say to a girl who is currently...
Anyone, I would say.
Anyone, sorry. What would you say to someone who's currently in the early stage of losing their parent or just lost, grieving?
Right.
What would you say to them?
I would say allow yourself to feel everything completely. Don't try to tell yourself, oh, it's fine, it's okay. Like, if you feel anger, be angry. If you're sad, be sad. Like, just completely go through the emotion and don't try to suppress it. Because I think with me, what happened is because I suppressed it for so long, I'm still dealing with it today. So I think just, say that you're sad. Say whatever it is that you're feeling. Like, talk to your friends, talk to your family. Because I know for me, it's like, oh, I'm fine. Like, let's just keep going. And I think I did a really bad job at like fully taking care of how I felt, rather than just like, I rather was just trying to go on with life, but still, of course, dealing with it to myself. But like numb myself. And I think when you allow yourself to feel everything in the beginning, it's a lot easier in the end. Of course, don't stay in the emotion, because that's how you get stuck, and you don't want to get stuck. You want to be able to express everything fully so you can move forward.
Yeah,
So
that's really good.
I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Ella, thank you so much for joining us, for talking about this topic that I know is a sore spot, but I know you've grown tremendously from. So we just thank you so much for joining us on this podcast.
Yeah, thank you for your vulnerability. Happy to share this story with you, because this is your story. So,
and until next week, Monday, keep growing and keep blooming.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.